The scent of jasmine candles filled the dining room, blending awkwardly with the roasted chicken Mom had prepared. The table gleamed under the soft yellow light, polished silverware, matching plates, everything perfectly placed, just the way she liked it. It was supposed to be a family dinner, but in our house those words rarely meant warmth. They meant performance. Lee, my cousin, sat across from me, her glossy hair falling over a designer sweater. She was visiting from the city, where she ran a successful art channel online. Everyone loved Lee, charming, talented, graceful. Everything I wasn't, at least according to Mom. So, Lee, Mom began, smiling sweetly. How many followers do you have now? Lee laughed, modestly brushing it off. Almost 4 million, I think. 4 million, Mom repeated, her tone a careful mixture of admiration and envy. That's incredible, you've really made something of yourself. Then her eyes flicked to me, unlike some people. The air thinned. I kept my eyes on my plate, cutting my food into tiny pieces I had no intention of eating. I'm still figuring things out, I said, forcing calm into my voice. Mom's expression hardened. Figuring things out, you're 24, Maya. You dropped out of college, you don't have a stable job, and you spend your days writing, whatever that means. Lee's smile faltered. She glanced at me apologetically, then down at her phone. I thought she was checking messages. I didn't notice the red lave symbol glowing faintly in the corner of her screen. Mom, please, I murmured. Can we not do this tonight? Do what? She snapped. Tell you the truth, you need to hear it, Maya. You're a desperate failure, and I'm tired of pretending otherwise. It's pathetic. You keep chasing these childish dreams, but dreams don't pay rent. Each word struck like a slap, leaving invisible bruises I knew would ache for days. Lee froze, phone still angled toward the table. My father shifted uncomfortably but said nothing, as always. Silence had become his favorite shield. I swallowed hard. You think I don't already feel like I've failed enough? My voice cracked, small and uneven. You don't need to remind me every time we eat dinner. Mom scoffed, crossing her arms. Then prove me wrong. Do something with your life instead of blaming me for everything. Lee finally lowered her phone, her face pale. The room felt suffocating. Even the candles seemed to flicker with discomfort. I pushed back my chair, the legs scraping harshly against the hardwood. Enjoy dinner, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I walked down the hallway, each step heavier than the last. Behind me, Mom muttered something about being overdramatic. Lee's faint whisper followed, Aunt Clara, maybe that was too harsh. But I didn't stay to listen. I closed my bedroom door and collapsed onto my bed. The tears came fast, unstoppable. I pressed my face into the pillow, muffling the sound. I didn't know that, out there, the world was already watching. That my pain had been broadcast to thousands of strangers, every word, every insult, every shatter of my dignity. That night, I thought I'd simply lost another argument. I didn't realize my entire life had just changed. When I woke up the next morning, sunlight spilled through the blinds, too bright, too ordinary for how wrong everything felt. My throat burned from crying. The silence in my room felt heavy, like the world had stopped to let my shame breathe. Then, my phone buzzed. Once, twice, then endlessly. I blinked at the notifications. Hundreds of messages from numbers I didn't recognize. Mentions, tags, texts from old classmates I hadn't spoken to in years. Confused, I clicked one link. It opened to a video, Mom destroys daughter for failing at life, live on stream. For a moment, I didn't understand what I was seeing. Then I heard my mother's voice, sharp and cold, cutting through the air. You're a desperate failure, Maya. It's pathetic. I froze. The video played on every cruel sentence, every trembling word I had whispered in return. My humiliation was now a show. The clip already had 2 million views and was spreading faster than I could think. I scrolled through the comments, heart pounding. No one deserves to be spoken to like that. Poor girl, she looks broken. This is hard to watch. That mom is a monster. But there were others too, cruel ones, the kind that slice just as deep. Her mom's right, tough love builds character. Some people need to hear the truth. My stomach twisted. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to unsee everything. Then Lee called. Her voice was shaking. Maya, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. I thought I was just recording a filter test. I didn't know it was live until people started commenting. I didn't respond. My tongue felt heavy, my chest tight. It doesn't matter. I said finally, my voice hollow. It's done. When Mom called a few hours later, she didn't sound sorry. She sounded furious. You've humiliated me, she snapped. Do you know what people are saying about me online? They're calling me abusive. You said those things, Mom. I was taken out of context. Lee shouldn't have been filming. This whole thing is your fault for overreacting. My hands trembled. Overreacting? I whispered. You called me pathetic. Because you were wasting your life, she shouted, and then the line went dead. That night, I scrolled through thousands of messages, strangers reaching out with kindness, some even sharing their own stories. I went through the same thing with my parents. You're not alone. Their words should have comforted me, but instead they hurt because these people saw me as a victim, and I hated that word. I didn't want pity. I just wanted silence. For days, I didn't leave my apartment. My inbox filled with podcast invitations, interview requests, and brand offers that felt wrong. They wanted to turn my pain into content. Everyone was watching, but no one really saw me. One night I stared at my reflection in the dark window, my puffy eyes, my tired face, and I realized that for the first time, the entire world knew the truth I'd been hiding for years. I wasn't just my mother's disappointment anymore, I was her consequence. And though I didn't know it yet, that video, the one that broke me, was about to rebuild me too. The noise eventually faded, not all at once, but gradually, like a storm drifting out to sea. The comments slowed, the interviews stopped coming, and my name fell out of the trending lists. The world moved on. But I didn't. I stayed in that silence for months. My apartment became my cocoon, blinds drawn, phone on silent, the outside world reduced to the hum of the refrigerator. Sometimes I would replay the live stream in my head, hearing her voice on loop. Desperate failure, pathetic, desperate failure. Until one day, I realized that I wasn't hearing her anymore. I was hearing me. I had started believing it. That scared me more than anything, so I opened my laptop. The blank screen glowed back at me, and I started typing, not for followers, not for validation, just to let the words out before they drowned me. Hi, I'm Maya. You probably know me as the girl from that video. I've spent months hiding because I thought if people forgot me, I could forget too. But pain doesn't vanish, it waits. So here I am, trying to do something with it. I uploaded the video on a whim. No makeup, no script, no filters, just my raw, shaking voice. I didn't expect anyone to care. By morning, there were hundreds of comments. This helped me more than you know. My mom said the same words to me. Thank you for speaking out. Something shifted in me. I wasn't just the girl from that live stream anymore. I was someone who survived it. I started posting more honest, messy reflections about family, self-worth, and healing. I called the series Letters to the Broken. Each video felt like stitching a torn part of myself back together. Slowly, people began following not because they pitied me, but because they related to me. My audience grew, first hundreds, then thousands. I was invited to speak on podcasts, to write articles, to share my story on platforms that once ignored me. My pain was no longer just mine. It became a bridge. Then one evening, Lee showed up at my door. Her eyes were red, and she held a small box of my favorite pastries. I don't expect forgiveness, she said quietly. "I think about that night every day. I never wanted to hurt you." I studied her face, guilt, exhaustion, sincerity. "You didn't hurt me, Lee," I said softly. "Mom's words did. You just accidentally showed the world what I'd been living with." She nodded, tears falling freely. "Still, I'm sorry." I hugged her. "Then let's both move on. You from guilt, me from pain." That night, as I scrolled through my messages, I found one that made me pause. "You've helped me see my worth again. Thank you." For the first time, I realized I wasn't broken anymore. I had built something out of the wreckage, something real, something mine. And though I wasn't ready to face my mother yet, I knew that day was coming. Because to truly heal, I had to stand before the fire again, but this time I would be the one holding the match. It had been a year since that fateful night, the night my mother called me a desperate failure and pathetic in front of the world. In that time, I had rebuilt myself piece by piece, turning humiliation into purpose. My channel had grown, my voice had reached thousands, and my self-worth had been carved out of fire and resilience. Still, she haunted the corners of my mind, not as a specter of fear anymore, but as a test. Could I face her without crumbling? Could I show her that the failure she declared was actually unstoppable? I sent her a message, "Coffee." "I want to talk." She hesitated but eventually agreed. I arrived at the cafe first, camera discreetly set up on the table. I wanted her to see me on my terms this time, calm, composed, unshakable. When she walked in, she looked older, smaller somehow, her eyes scanning me with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Are you filming me?" she asked sharply, already defensive. "I am," I said quietly, "but not to humiliate you. I want honesty, not shame. If you can't handle that, you can leave now." Her jaw tightened, but she sat. "I want to talk about the past." I began, taking a slow breath. "I've spent years believing your words. I thought I was pathetic, a failure, incapable of anything meaningful. And for a while, I believed I deserved that treatment." Her eyes filled with tears, but she stayed silent. "But I've learned something important." I continued. "Your words were never the truth. They were a reflection of your fears, your anger, your inability to see me as who I really am. I've turned that reflection into fuel. I've created something that helps people, that gives them hope. I've grown. I've survived." She looked down, trembling. "Maya, I didn't realize." "I know," I said softly. "And that's why this isn't about revenge in the way you think. I'm not going to yell or insult or humiliate you. That's not what I am anymore. My revenge is this: showing the world and myself that I am everything you said I couldn't be." Tears ran freely down her cheeks now. She reached for my hand, but I didn't take it. "I'm proud of you," she whispered, voice cracking. "I'm so sorry for everything." "I accept your apology," I said carefully. "But know this, I don't need it to validate my life. I've built my own, and that's the point." I ended the conversation there, letting silence speak. I posted the video later that evening, the final conversation. The world watched, but this time it wasn't shock or pity. It was admiration, respect. Messages poured in, powerful, inspiring, brave. I smiled as I read them, realizing something crucial. True revenge wasn't about hurting her. True revenge was surviving, thriving, and becoming a version of myself that no one, not even my mother, could diminish. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I simply felt the quiet warmth of victory, not the cruel satisfaction of seeing her broken, but the steady, unshakable triumph of knowing I had risen above. I was no longer her desperate failure. I was Maya, unstoppable, untouchable, and finally free.